understanding of the word parenting. And I think most parents will agree that complex parenting is in itself, a very complicated aspect of life. So, as our viewers join us, I'm very happy that we've got Derrick with us. So, I'll go to the view of Derrick. So, here, Derrick, hi, your audience can see us live right now.
Hi, hi, everybody, and thank you for joining on Step Up today. And I would like to thank Komel from Step Up for inviting me once again on board. And Nancy, thank you for getting us connected, and also thank you, Dylan, who's taking care of all the technical parts along with Komal in the background. And it's a lovely warm day today, and let's see how many uh, of you log in, and then we take off with this.
Right. So we are still waiting for people to join in, but I think what we can say is that your last session went quite viral. So we have a lot of people who will be watching
Here.
this live session as a recording later on. So we are going to start, and as an introduction, let me just once again introduce Derrick to the people who are following Step Up. So, Derrick Angelsz is a certified life coach, trained in USA. He's also a biofeedback trainer and practitioner. He has more than 20 years of experience in the field of children's welfare and education, and does a lot of work with government organizations and training programs, training the trainers, training teachers, and through his years of experience, he is just here to share with us some aspects of parent child relationships. So today we will have a presentation by Derrick, and few slides that he has put together. And thereafter, what we are going to do is we're going to take some questions. So please do keep your comments ready, and we will be happy to take your questions. We already have a few people who have joined us right now. So hello, hi Kumel, hi Trupti, welcome. So Derrick, over to you. I'll start
Yeah.
sharing the screen, and
One moment before we begin. I would request
yeah,
the viewers to have a pen and a paper ready. That will be helpful for today. So I would wait for that as well.
great, great. So I'm just mentioning that as well. Do take
Yeah.
notes and do comment. So just a note for our viewers who have joined us. Okay, so I am sharing a slide right now. So Derrick, please go ahead.
All right. All right. Thank you, Clancy. And here we go. All right. Now, as you see, there's slide number one. Now, important is what do you see on the slide? Okay. I want you to focus on the slide for a few seconds. Keep focusing on the slide. And now, what I would like you to do is whatever comes across your mind, just write it down. Just write it down, whatever it may be. That's my first slide to you. Thank you. Let's move ahead, Clancy.
Okay, give me a moment. Okay, so shall I move on to the next slide, or do you want me to?
You can move ahead.
Okay, great. Okay,
Friends,
all
welcome
right.
to Complex Parenting. Here we are. Okay, now, you know, the title is made up of two different words, complex and parenting. Now, as we talk about the word complex, any mechanism or anything that is made up of too many things around it. Like, for example, if you see a car, it has so many moving parts. It's a complex mechanism, and that is equal to the entire mechanism working together in coordination with each other is equal to a car which gets driven very smoothly. So That's how I would like to put across the word complex to you, because most of us either own a car or any kind of vehicle, and if not, at least we travel in one. So the next time you see a vehicle, that's complex mechanism, and that's exactly what we are relating ourselves to, complex. And the next word is parenting. Now let's clear one thing about the word parenting. Most of the people on this planet think that the word parenting means mother and father, biological mother and father. Well, let's get this right first. The word parenting is much more than a mother and a father is equal to parent. Any person, any individual, or a couple, or a set of people who look after the welfare and the growth, the emotional and the social needs of a child is called a parent, or they are called parents. So, this is what the title is all about: a complex mechanism wanting to work in a way to make sure that the child is brought up in a beautiful manner so that he or she grows very nicely, very beautifully, and be a successful human being in the future. Yes, Clancy.
Thanks, Derek. I hope you can hear me. Okay. So I'm moving back to the slide view. Thank you for that. And I think that itself is a very deep discussion, that, and that parenting is not only to a mother or to a father. Okay. So I'll wait for the questions to flow in. I have people joining in as we go along. But
Sure.
is it okay that we post in questions as you're speaking, or do you wish that we kind of keep the questions to the end?
What I would suggest, Clancy, is if you feel any relevant question into the statements that I'm making or I'm speaking, you might as well have a discussion or a fire up question out there,
Okay.
and the remaining questions will take it at the end of the session.
All right. Okay. So, well, let's then, if we can move on, I'll move on to the next slide.
Sure.
Okay. So I'll go back to the full visual now.
Now, my dear friends, you can see what's written out there. A child raises a parent. A child raises a parent. Now, why do we say that a child raises a parent? Everybody thinks, and the most common thing, I would say almost every time we hear is, I'm raising a child. I have a child. I'm raising my child. I'm raising children. The fact is, it is the other way around. The fact is that children raise parents. A child raises a parent. Why do we say this? Now, whenever you see your child has so many needs: education, emotion, social requirements, safety, so on and so forth. When the child requires all these things, the child just cannot have it out of the blues. The child always looks out for a support who will give him or her these necessities of life. And the provider provides. That's the parent. Now, for example, if a child needs emotional solace, maybe the child is upset, the child needs a little bit of emotional support at any point of time. What would a parent do? The parent would, like, approach the child and do his best or her best to give whatever emotional support the parent can. Now, the game is here. If the parent is not trained into giving emotional support or has not experienced much of emotional support in his or her own life, how much support that parent can actually give the child. So, when a child needs, for example, an emotional support, the parent needs to have that emotion. So, the parent fulfills that desire or that need first, and then it is passed on to the child. So, if the parent is lacking, the parent goes out, seeks help, does their best to understand how to give support, or learns from the environment, people around, videos, tapes, learnings, books, etc., and does everything to help the child. So, actually, when you look at it, the child is raising the parent. That's how it is. Yes, Blanche.
So, Derek, I have a question on that.
Sure.
You said the child is raising the parent, and that's like really kind of twist things, up topsy turvy. Uh, so then, how what is it that doesn't work with children? If the child is making you a parent, what is it that doesn't work with children? What are the things that we should absolutely not be doing with children, in your opinion?
Glancy, I'll come up. Yeah. What this answer, I'll come up a little later on.
Okay.
It's definitely there during the following slides out there.
All right, so then I'll go back to your slide. Okay, so
Sure. Let's have the next one.
yeah.
Be what you want. Be what you want your child to be. Okay. Now, I put the slide here. Be what you want your child to be. Here I'm referring to the character, the character of a child. You know, we send our children to educational institutes and various other places, and there are many ways to get education across. Now, one thing which lacks most of the time is building up of the character of a child. Now, if I want my child to be gentle, you know, out in the educational system, the child comes across various people, different kinds of people, and the behavior of all those people are different from one another. As simple as that. So, from where does a child gets the basic development or to build his or her own character? And this comes from the parent. If I want my child to be gentle, I need to be gentle first. If I want my child to be loving, I need to be loving first. If I want my child to be polite, I need to be polite first. I would expect certain characteristics or build up certain characteristics of my child only if I practice the same characteristics with my child. If I fail to say, for example, if I fail to say, please give me this book, and instead of that I say, give me this book, okay, I tell my child, give me this book, my child would give it. And if my child says, give me this book, I'll say please. When this happens, the child is on the crossroad in the mind, figuring out what is right. Why is my father or my mother speaking this way, and why am I directed to speak in a particular manner? So, this is very important. To build your child's character, you need to train yourself or behave yourself with your child in exactly the same manner. So this is where we come from. Be what you want your child to be in terms of building up the character of your child. Yes, Clancy.
Thanks, Derek. That's deep. And I'll go on to the few questions. We already have quite a few questions with us. I have an interesting question from Tripti Kadam, and she wants to know, how do you manage long distance parenting? How to manage long distance parenting? And I will put this question on the screen as well.
Okay. Well, I would prefer to answer this later, Glancy.
Okay.
So I'll stay in my flow. I'll definitely
So
take
what
up
I'll
this
do
question
is
for sure.
I'll take these questions later. Once you are, through the presentation, we'll go through the questions. Right. So keep your
Right.
questions coming. Thank you. But we'll just go through the presentation and then we'll come back. So I'll move on to the next slide here.
Sure.
Go on, Derek.
Who
The
are you?
slide is
Yeah.
visible.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Who are you? There's a very interesting slide. I want all the viewers at this point of time, my dear friends, take your pen and your paper and just listen to the instructions. Write the name of your favorite animal. Now, here, when I say favorite, it could be just any animal under the sun on this planet. I'm not talking about pet. I'm not talking about pet. I'm talking about your favorite animal, the animal which you love the most or like the most, or you feel closer to most. I'll give you about 10 seconds. So, the animal which crosses your mind, you feel closer to, want to, you know, be there. So, just write the name of that animal. Glancy, I hope you two are doing this.
Yes, and since I'm lucky to be, to be able to have my voice here, so I already have a choice. So maybe you ask me and I get a chance to state my animal.
Okay. Uh, would you like to speak in public about your favorite animal?
Okay, I think I'd go with the tiger. You know, I
Okay.
like
All
that.
right.
So that's
Okay.
my
Fine.
choice.
Okay. Okay. Now, let me tell you something. Okay. This is very interesting. Uh, the evolution of living organisms, if you go back in history, it starts from bacteria, DNA, so on and so forth, plants, animals, mucus, mammals, etc., etc. And then, uh, you know, the and then comes at the end the human beings. Now, one of the animals we are close to at this point of time, because our genomes are very close to rats, So every time human beings are looking out like we are having this current situation going on, so the rats and the mice are the ones who are being experimented upon. Now, when we go back to the history of evolution and we say there is something called the DNA, and it has spreaded right from that point to date, which means we all belong, we all belong to the same family. It is just that we are different because of animals and humans and reptiles and birds and pigeons, whatever. Now, this experiment had been conducted. We had conducted this experiment. We had asked people, name an animal you are closest to or you love the most. That was one experiment. Second experiment we conducted was we told them write the name of three animals you are closest to and three birds you are closest to. And third experiment was write name of three animals, three birds, and three reptiles. And the fourth was all the same and three uh, sea creatures. Now, Whatever animal you have written on the page that you feel closest to, later on, when you have time, go back in your space, sit down, think of the characteristics. I'm talking about the characteristics. Think about the characteristics of that animal and see whether you have, as a person, that characteristics in you. I'll give you one simple example. Example would be, say, a lion. The characteristics of a lion: the lion takes care of its family, takes care of its little ones. The lion goes out, hunts, and makes sure the family eats and the lion also eats. And there are many more characteristics of the lion, of course. It hunts together, it takes care of its herd, etc. So if you see, you look at the characteristics of that animal and your own characteristics, it will match somewhere. Now, I spoke only about one animal. You can write one, two, three, four, whatever. You can have multiple. It cannot be one. It's usually a multiple. We all have it. We all have it in, you know, uh, it's multi-present. And this experiment was a beautiful one, and we are still studying on these factors. We are not talking about pets. It could be just any animal, as I already told you, under this planet. So, why am I speaking about this? Who are you? Why am I asking you, who are you? And why am I showing you animals out here? Because when you understand the characteristics, how an animal protects or how an animal provides to its little ones, we as human beings, if we are failing in our parenting, uh, you know, in our parenting towards our children, you can pick up that animal, go to it, and see how they fend or defend or look after their young ones and their siblings, whatever. It's a very deep science, my dear friends. And the closer you get, the stronger you will feel. You'll feel very strong. It will actually give you a stepping stone to develop yourself as a parent. So take your time later on, write it down, sit down, go through it, and you will actually get some bits of what I've told you.
Wow, Derek, that's absolutely fantastic. I actually never thought about that, and you're right, because when you were talking previously, I had this question in my mind, and that was, we consciously, unconsciously, we're always somehow psychologically programmed to emulate our parents. And we mostly, even, if you've had a bad parenting or we've had bad experiences, we try not to repeat the same with our children, but somehow sometimes we do the same mistakes, we repeat the same behavior with our children. So one part of us, the rational part, is very conscious that we are doing something we should not be doing, but we cannot help ourselves. We scream or we shout and we lose control. So but
Right.
I never thought, I personally did not ever think about the aspect that animals are never accused of bad parenting. And that itself is a very deep thought. Also, my friends who are joined in with us, we have Dr. Derrick with us, who is a research scientist, also among the various other skills that he is, an expert in. And this is a very deep thing to think about, is that most animals, at least from my experience, we've never heard of bad parenting. Most animals instinctively do their job of being a parent and let the animals fly from their nest. So thank you, Derek. I'll move on to the next slide. We are still having a lot of questions
Uh,
coming in. I hope you can hear me.
sure, Glancy. Yeah, I can hear you very clear, Glancy.
Okay, so I'll move on
And
to the
I
next
just want to
slide.
put a note.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next one, out of what you've just spoken, Glancy, I just would like to tell you one more thing. We as human tends to, we tend to shout back and, do all these things. Let me tell you one thing. DNA can be reprogrammed. That's it. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay, I think you threw us a googly there. DNA can be reprogrammed. Okay, that's a very big and a very controversial statement. But we will hear from you on that topic maybe another day, should we be that lucky. So we'll move to the next slide. Okay, I hope it's visible.
Yeah,
Great.
very much. Yeah. Uh, so, what is your upbringing? Now, this is where our children, uh, gets affected. They are largely affected because of our upbringing. So the question comes, what is your upbringing? Now, if we go back into the past, we all have uh, a different way we've been brought up in life. Some, I would say, every child has had a very different experience. Even siblings have different experience from the same parents. So let's go back to the parent. What was the upbringing of the parent? Suppose a parent had an upbringing which was very violent. Maybe you, as a parent, must have got spanking. You, as a parent, may have been abused or got abused. Now, there are two ways when you come out of that period of time, and today you are a parent. There are many ways you may behave with your child. The most common one would be if you were beaten up, spanked, you may end up beating up and spanking your child. There are some parents who would be exactly opposite. Because you were beaten up, you will never touch your child. There are some parents who do their best to pick up whatever lessons out of life to give the best to their children. And eventually, in the bargain, on and off, can end up either verbally abusing or beating up their children. So when you say, as a parent, you are having challenges with your child, I would tell you, my dear friends, get back, step back, sit down, and go through your own childhood. Go through it, see what had happened to you, and what are the connects that you are connecting your childhood times to your child. And you are the mediator in this. You are in between this. So your upbringing is actually affecting your child directly. You may or you may not agree to that. I'm telling you this. You may or may not agree. You may say, oh, my childhood was fantastic. Okay, great. Then what happened? And when you were upbringing, let me again go back to one more thing that, as I mentioned, that parent need not mean only mother and father. Every person who is responsible to touch your emotion, your social behavior, your security, your safety is directly or indirectly a parent, which we completely, we have a blind eye towards that. They are adding to our DNA. They are adding to our behavior. They are adding to our characteristics. So your behavior actually directly affects your child knowingly or unknowingly. So
Okay,
next
so
homework for you, my dear parents. Yeah, so the next homework, my dear friends, would be sit back and go through your upbringing and compare it. How are you applying it on your child? Yes, Glancy.
thank you, Derek. We have a lot more questions coming up, and we already halfway through the time limit that we have for today, this evening. So I'll move on quickly to the next slide. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, the next slide says pause, which means, my favorite one word, relax. As I've been presenting this slides to all of you out there, this slide was very much required, very much required because after the hard talks, you need to take it a little easy. Now, I say pause and relax because take a chill pill. Life is beautiful. No matter what happened in the past, no matter how was your upbringing, yet there is a solution. And further on, we'll see what the solutions are. Now, let me tell you one thing, my dear friends. Uh, there's a famous quote, Rome was not built in a day, nor was Taj Mahal, and nor can you change things overnight. It will take its time. It all depends how faithful you are to change yourself for better. So, Blanchi, let's have the next one.
Yeah, so here it is. A pretty
No, Blanchi, you've
interesting
got the wrong
slide.
one.
Okay.
Uh, you, yeah. To have bath, you need to wet your body. I believe all of you will agree with me on this. To have bath, you need to wet your body, and we have bath to clean our body. Now, here, what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm going to give you five simple tips. And as I told you, we to this is not a talk where I come, I say, and you change instantly. No instant coffees out here. This will take time, but I would be more than happy and more than glad to, share the tips with you. Now, the tip number one is change your communication. Now, I want everybody to put your thumbs up. Change your communication. This is tip number one. So every time you put your thumbs up, this is your tip number one. Change your communication. Now, I'll give you my favorite, tip on changing your communication. The most beautiful one. When I say change your communication, all I want you to understand and do is, whenever you are speaking, now these steps I'm giving for yourself, okay? This is for you as an individual. Whether you are a parent, or you're a child, or you're a listener, or you're the most amazing human being, this is for you. Tip number one, communication. Whenever you communicate from now onwards, make sure you eliminate the negative words as much as possible. When I started practicing this, I took a little over 4 to 5 months to eliminate the negative words from my communication. Whatever communication I do, with whomsoever I communicate, I make it a point to eliminate the maximum negative words. I'll give you an example what I mean. For example, uh, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work. It's a negative sentence. Now, if I want to say the same thing without using the word I don't want, I would put it simply, today I prefer to be home, or today I prefer to go for a movie. Today I prefer to relax at home. So indirectly, I'm saying I don't want to go to work. I don't want to drink water. I would say, I'm fine. My thirst is taken care of. Or I would say, I will drink water when I'm thirsty. I don't want one more bread on my plate. This is a common one, you know. Your wife or your husband or your spouse or your whoever's serving you food, your mom, dad, whoever serving food on plate. You say, I don't want, I'm done, I'm finished. Uh, well, it goes this way. The moment I'm asked, would you like one more bread? I would say, thank you, my tummy is full. I would say, thank you, I'm done for now. So I just give you three, four examples. So basically, you've got to have affirmative sentences without changing the meaning of the sentence. I'm sure we have done this, day in and day out. We have done this day in and day out. And I'm sure you can do this. And this is the best time. You're at home, you can just open up anything or consciously do this. Take my word, everybody around will start loving you. You'll become like a magnet, just amazing. This is amazing. And it works all the time. People will say, wow, what a transformation. I mean, without even telling them that you are speaking only positive, people will gradually and eventually realize this person is so positive, as you say, unstoppable. That's tip number one. So every time this is your, where's this? Yeah, this is a thumbs up. So you look, number one, thumbs up. That means positive. You say thumbs up, great. This is positive. Number one, tip number one. Now, Glancy, you want me to go to tip number two, or you have something to say?
Well, I think we are having a little bit of a time crunch, so I don't want to lose out my lovely viewers who are there. So I
Yeah.
need, I want all of it. I'm sure all of us want to hear this, but maybe we should give them a little bit in installments so that we can
Okay,
try to
so
cover
I'll
up
run
as much
through.
as
Yeah,
we can.
yes, sure. I'll do that, Glancy, and I'll make sure that I run through it as per your timeline, and also make sure that personally we have everything integrated correctly. So tip number one, you got it. Oh my goodness, yeah. Now let's come to tip number two. That's your index finger. Tip number two is self-discipline. Self-discipline. Tip number two. This is a pointing finger. Children call this pointing finger. We call it the index finger. Every time we prompt, you did this, you did this, you did this, you are wrong. It's your fault. So point it towards yourself. Self-discipline. So remember, when you discipline yourself, you will be a much, much better person. People will love you for being self-disciplined. That's very, very important. All right, now let's go to tip number three. Tip number three is your middle finger. Okay, this is the middle finger. Now, tip number three is a middle finger, and I would say tip number three is do your breathing and stretching exercise daily. Whatever you do, make sure you do a little bit of breathing exercise and stretching exercise. Now, why do I choose your middle finger? Because your middle finger denotes the space. So you stretch in space, you breathe in space. So your middle finger. So every time you see your middle finger, remember to stretch, remember to breathe consciously. Breathe consciously. That's great. And that's your middle finger. That's your middle finger. I wouldn't show that, of course. Now let's go to tip number yeah. Let's go to tip number four, which is also very important. Your tip number four is collaborate with your partner. This is what happens, many a times the child comes to mommy, asks for permission, mommy says no, goes to daddy, daddy says yes, and there's a conflict between mommy and daddy. Simple as that. So tip number four is collaborate with your partner. Make sure you always collaborate with your partner, and that is your finger. That's your ring finger, ring, ring finger. I would say the finger in which you wear your wedding ring or the ring, because this is connected to your heart. So that's why collaborate with your partner. So every time you see your ring finger, remember your partner, remember your ring, remember that you're married and you have a child, and you need to collaborate with each other to bring your child, together, not as a single parent. Now comes the last one, the little finger. I wouldn't show the little finger, but you know the little finger still. This is the little finger. Where is it? Okay, that's the little finger. Okay, the little finger is yourself. Every time you do something, my dear friends, make sure you say thank you to your own self. Get a gift for yourself. Love yourself. Pamper yourself. Maybe you are very little on that finger line, but you are the most important person. Without you, the five fingers would be incomplete. Little finger denotes water, and water denotes life, and life is you. That is what you are.
That
Yeah.
is absolutely beautiful. It's so easy to remember. And wow, thanks so much. I think in those 5 tips, you have really given us the crux of parenting. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. I have a lot of people, thanking you and, doing a thumbs up and, really liking this very especially. So it's tip number 1 is eliminate negative words. Tip number 2, self-discipline. Tip number 3, breathing and stretching exercises daily. Tip number 4, collaborate with your partner. And tip number 5 is love yourself. Great. So let's continue, Derek. This is wonderful to hear this. It's really, it's a wonderful opportunity to get this wisdom from you. Okay, so next slide.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
And Komal, thank you once again for getting me on board. That's Komal from Step Up. I love you, Komal.
Okay, so we are back to the next slide, and here we are.
Yeah. Now, this slide, dear friends, if you can see, and Glassy, just let the slide be, okay, for some time. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
So, uh, you know, uh, mother, mother is life. Mother gives life. We call our planet our mother, right? So, the gender of mother is what? Feminine, right? Glancy,
mostly.
right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yeah. So remember this. This slide is, I call this slide she, S-H-E, a mother, she, S-H-E. Okay. Now, S stands for shelter. You see two dogs, one with an umbrella. That's
Yeah,
the slide I'm referring to, shelter. Now, the question asked was, when should a parent interfere? A parent should always remember the word she, S-H-E, she. You should step in as a parent whenever there is a concern regarding your shelter of your child. When I say shelter, it means the safety of your child. So, whenever you feel your child is going to get hurt physically, emotionally, mentally, step in immediately as a parent. Because if you fail to step in as a parent when the child needs the S of safety and shelter, take my word, your child will deflect to some other person and you will start experiencing failure as a parent and also losing your trust with your child. So, the S of safety, shelter, the dog with an umbrella is what it is all about. Not only shelter, but also safety to the little one. So, that's how the slide goes. Next comes H. Again, you need to step in as a parent when it concerns the health of your child. You see the red apple, apple denotes health. So, whenever you feel your child is a bit unwell, physically unwell, showing some signs of uneasiness or whatever ailments you feel, immediately step in as a parent. Just a brief note. I don't remember taking the temperature of my kids. The moment I touch them, I know they have a temperature. And if they want to know their temperature, they come and they place their palm on my face and they ask me, Dada, am I having fever? Am I okay? And I just close my eyes and say yes, no, or whatever I have to say. So the health of a child is very, very, very important. The moment you feel you need to step in to take care of the health, please do it and refer to your health practitioners. That is the H. And then comes E. Again, E stands for emotion. You see, the cuddling out there, that is the emotion. The moment you feel your child is cranky, the child is emotionally upset, depressed, etc., anything to do with your child's emotion, my dear friend, step in immediately. Here you need not take permission of your child. When it comes to she, SHE, safety or shelter, health and emotion, step in immediately as a parent. Just go for it. And remember this word, tag it in your brain, she. She means you have all the right to step in as a parent without the permission of your child because it concerns their safety and their upbringing. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. That is wonderful. And yes, again, with a bang, you've hit the soul of it all of parenting, safety, health, and emotion. These are things that as parents we should not absolutely ever ignore. I still have a question looking at your slide, and I want to know what the apple is all about. So please.
Yeah, I told you the apple is all about health. It denotes
Okay.
health.
Okay.
So basically, as you say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Okay.
So an apple
Great.
to denote health. So that's how I put the apple out there.
Okay. So should I move to the next slide then?
Sure.
Okay. Wow.
Well, this is how I looked when I was small. I put up my own photo, alien, and I'm wondering I'm on which planet right now. Just on a lighter note, my dear friends. So, but on a serious note, this is how children are when they are very, very young. They are like aliens. And they are aliens. Why? I'll tell you. Because they don't understand the language that we speak to them. What is mom saying? What is dad saying? They go into a wonderland immediately. I don't understand what they are intending to tell me. For example, if the phone rings, mom or dad will say, tell them I'm not there. The child is thinking, my mom is still here or my dad is still here, and my dad or mom is saying, say I'm not there. What am I supposed to do? So, they're on the crossroads. It's just a very small example. So, for a child, everything on this planet, I'm telling you, they keep on exploring, keep on exploring, keep on exploring. And I would say, let them explore, explore, explore. Don't put your nose into it. If you want to put your nose, remember she. During the time of she, put your nose into it. If it is not she, keep off it. Let them grow. Let them explore. There are beautiful aliens out here like me, still exploring.
Thank you, Derek. That was
Yes,
wonderful
Lakshmi.
as well. Okay, so I'm going on to the next slide.
You are the image. Exactly, my dear friends. Every child, I'll tell you, almost every child um, replicates or mimics or copies their parent. If you're going to show love, they will replicate love. If you're going to abuse, they will also abuse because they fail to understand what it is. Everything that you do, the child feels that it is right. Simply because they are the child wrong because for a child, and for a child like me too, everything is right in their own perspective. So the way you behave, the way you talk, the way you do things, the way you treat people, your child will copy you dot dot dot. So it's up to you what image you want to be. Yes, Glancy.
Thank you, Derek. Yes, that's a very evocative image. Moving on to the next slide.
The mud. Now, we have heard this saying, children are like soft mud, the way you mold it, that's the shape the child is going to take. Yes, if we actually compare a growing up child, the child is indeed like a soft mud. Now, when you actually do mud molding a pot or whatever, I would strongly suggest that at least once, you should put your hand in this pottery. Why am I saying this? That you should do at least one time, because whenever you're handling the soft mud to convert it into a beautiful pot, the moment you press it harder, it starts going inside. It's like choking. The moment you hold it lightly and just give a very light touch around the pot, it starts taking the shape becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So children need your support from a distance, not pressing, pushing, and compelling them to do things. Now, what about children who have already grown up? For example, the teenagers, etc., where you find it difficult to mold. Now, these are the pots which are already made, and you cannot mold them. So, pots which are already molded, it all depends what you put inside the pot and where you place them so that it adds value and it looks beautiful, which means help the grown up children to know their own value and to support them to understand their value in society and within their own eyes. That's very important. So
That,
whether the mud is soft or it's a done up mud, it has its value.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely right. The only thing is that, we need to get into the mud when it is malleable and moldable. Else, it becomes very difficult once that mud has set into a pot. You are right on that.
yeah. Glad
So,
the reason I say this is because at this point of time we have all kinds of parents out here, right? Those who are having small children, grown up children. So let's go with those. It is not that everything is lost. There is always a hope and there is always a way out. It's life.
yes. So, moving on to the next slide.
Sure. Now is the right time to add value to yourself as a parent. Now, my dear friends, let me tell you one thing. Always bear one thing in your mind. The right thing, the right time to do the right thing is now. NOW. Now is the time. The time which is gone by will never come back. And the time which is about to come, we have no idea about it. So if you want to do something, you do it right now. You want to begin right now. It's not about yesterday, it's not about tomorrow, it's not about later. The time is now. If you want to do something, do it now. The best time to plant a tree is now. It is said, one of the most beautifully written, proverbs, and I strongly believe in that. And I say the same thing. The right time to start parenting is now.
Thank you, Derek. That
Yes,
is absolutely apt. We are getting a lot of good commentary as well. So, very hard hitting slides And thanks so much. Shall we move to the next one?
Please do, Vanshi. Now, all of you can see a rose on your screen. Now, first of all, this rose is a small gift from my daughters to all the viewers out there because they have chosen this rose to come on the slide. And my dear friends, if you notice the rose, the top part of the rose, it's so beautiful. It's very beautiful. This is what parenting is all about. It has a stem, it has a leaf, and it has its thorns. As a parent, you have to do all that you can to put those petals high up there. They are your children, they are your kids. The petals are your kids, the rose itself. You push your child so high that they turn beautiful. The stem is a support system, the leaf is a family system, the thorns are the hardships. And you, as a parent, keeping everything off, put that petals right on the top, and that's your child, and that's your success as a parent. Yeah, Glanchi.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm still lost in the visuals of what you just said. Looking at this rose, I don't think any of us will be looking at our children, the same we would before. Just looking at this beautiful, perfect flower, it is definitely something that we will remember and cherish, and a constant reminder of our duty as parents. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
thank you, Doctor, very much. And let us move on to the Q&As. If you're ready with that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, sure, Glanchi.
so I'll try to share the questions on the screen. I hope the audio is good from our side. So give us a moment. Okay, so I'll just move very quickly to the question. Okay, we have a question from a lady, Tripti Kadam, and she says, how to manage long distance parenting.
Okay. Now, when we say long distance parenting, I completely understand one thing that you are away from your child. Your child may be with your parents or some person out there, or maybe in a hostel or wherever. Now, when we say long distance parenting, the first and the foremost important part is no matter what is the age of your child, okay, if your child is very young, the call, you should make a call each and every day and talk to your parent, talk to your child very, very emotionally. You need to have emotion in your tone as long as your child is turning up to 11 to 12-year-old. If the child is below 12, make sure you have enough emotion and emotional talks to your child because that is what will keep your child connected to you as a child and a parent. When the child is growing between 12 to 14, 15, that is a time very slowly you need to move between a friend and a parent. You've got to have your controls correct. And this is a very thin line. And you need good skills to take care of this part of age. It's very, very, very dicey. And when you do this, if you have the facility of calling on Skype or WhatsApp calling through the video calling, make sure you have it right in the place and the questions that you ask and the things that you tell your child, all these things build up into your relationship with your child who is far away from you. And if possible, that you can meet your child once a month, once in 45 days, make it a point to do so because no matter what, human touch at the end of the day is extremely important. It's very important. So distance parenting, it all depends. If you're a working parent away for 6 months and a year, take my word, it is a challenging job. It's not easy. And let your phone and make yourself available all the time to your child. Make sure of that.
Yes, and that also goes for Derek, on the parallel question of single parents.
Yeah.
So I hope you can hear me. Is the question, people, the society has changed, and now single parenting, unfortunately, has become common. So, what is your advice to single parents?
About single parents, I'll tell you, my dear friends, whether, as I mentioned in the beginning, whether it's single, it's couple, or whether it's individual, whether it's couple, or you're a group of people, a parent is a parent. And when we say single parents are growing, let me tell you, they have not actually grown that much as we feel they have grown that much. I mean, the numbers of single parent. But yet, a parent is a parent at the end of the day. As a single parent, make sure you give the same kind of emotion to your child, whether you're a lady or you're a man. Always speak highly about the opposite sex parent, meaning, if you are a mother, speak highly about a lady. If you are a lady, speak highly about a man. Because as a single parent, you need to strike a balance in regards to gender. I have noticed, it's a very beautiful question. I have noticed what happens is whenever there's a single parent, the bent towards a particular sex is more. Meaning, for example, if it's a mother, it's only lady, 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 and hatred is developed towards the male members. So when the child grows up, the child tends to have a hatred towards the opposite sex, and it is a fact. So it is better you educate your child, you be compassionate, you be empathetic. What happened in your life, let it not touch your child. Let your child respect both the sexes equally well. That's very important for a single parent. So
Thank you.
this is my personal take on
That's
it.
beautiful. Yes, thank you. I think you already touched upon again a very important aspect of having children respect both sexes. Moving on to the next question, we have how to handle children, especially when they are, when it comes to gadgetry. So children want to have expensive gadgets. They're comparing themselves with other kids who have those kind of tools and toys. So any comments or any suggestions, your viewpoint?
Uh, Glancy, this is a process to come to terms, to make children come to terms when it comes to comparing, me having a gadget and you having a gadget, and then a comparison out of it, and then me wanting a gadget which you are having. So the process is something of, I'll just give a very a simple way, a light way of looking at it this way. If my child is having a gadget and my child looks at some other gadget and says, I want this kind of gadget, what I would possibly do is I would sit down with my child and make my child run through her gadget entirely, asking what is there in this, what is there, a series of questions, a long conversation. And then I would ask what is there in the other gadget, what he or she has seen. So when this happens, they somewhere know what is missing and what is not missing. Then comes the question, how much part of the gadgets are you using? When these informations come in front of the kids, it makes a difference because that is the way I have handled my kids. And I have successfully, I've never had the reason that they have ever come back to me and said, I want this or that one is having better than this. Uh, so there are many, many other ways. So as I said, it is a process that we, have to look into and work upon.
And I'd like to also add to that, this query from Rajans is that uh, don't be awkward to discuss your financial situation with your child. Because having money or not having money is a life fact, and it shouldn't shame you, and you should not feel ashamed before your child for who and what you are. So let them understand the value of things, and it's important to share with them, and later on in life they will also learn to value things, and once you have these kind of conversations with them, they will automatically mature in their understanding of money and their understanding of what is most important. So I'll just leave this at this particular point and I will move on to the next question. The next question is from Siddesh, and he is like, how do handle kids if parents are working long hours? Yes, this is a challenge all of us face. How to handle children if parents are working long hours?
Now it all depends. When you say working long hours, is the child back home with somebody, or the parent is working from home and the child is in the same place? If you, as of now, let's take the current scenario when you are working from home and you're working for long hours. What we need to do is, first of all, the more you tell your child, don't walk into the room, the child will walk into the room. The child is bound to do that. So it's very simple. If you're working from home, the current scenario, let them walk in. They will hang around day one, day two, day three, day four, five, six. They will stop bothering you. And then it will become a once in a blue moon process. And if you're a working parent away, like in the office, and your child is at home alone, or with, you know, somebody to look with a caretaker or guardians or your grandparents or whatever. So there, what you need to do, what you need definitely to do is from your office, make at least 4 to 5 calls. Number one. Number two, if your child is calling, take up the calls. And in that conversation, don't ever, I'm using a negative word, don't ever tell your child, I am busy. And if you are busy and you need to avoid your child at that point of time, tell your child, Mama is doing something important and I'll be back as soon as I can. That's number one. If not, if you know the timeline, say 20 minutes, Mama will be back exactly in 25 minutes. And bang on 25th minute, the call should go. Take my word, it's a beautiful way of, keeping in touch with your children that way. And when you get home, please keep the bribes away. Avoid bribing your children. That's the worst thing you would ever do to your child. I would take my child out and have fun rather than come back home with a bribe. I would avoid it completely until unless my child has asked for something. That's a different story. But if I have failed a call or something, I will never take something home, a toy or anything, and say, I'm sorry, I did not call. Avoid it. You are making a big mistake. You are failing as a parent out there.
Absolutely, Derek. I'm glad this came up. And yes, I will also reiterate that never bribe your child. You cannot buy your child's love, affection. So it doesn't work. You have to be true to your child. You have to be true to yourself. I'll move on to the next question. I have a question from Payal Bhattacharjee, and she is asking us, how can I help my child with expressing emotions? So, how can I help my child with expressing emotions?
Payal, thank you very much for this question because I'm one of those who have, had challenges. Even now, I have challenges expressing my emotion. To help your child express emotion, first of all, always make it a point, never ever laugh at a child until and unless the child is laughing and the child has cracked a joke. That's the first thing. Now, when we say emotion, let me begin. Laughing is an emotion, anger is an emotion, passing gas is an emotion, sneezing is an emotion. I have seen many parents, they correct their children when they burp, when they pass gas. How can you do this? That's the beginning point of suppressing or killing the emotion of your child. That is the beginning. You are not teaching your kids manners, you are killing the emotion of your child. It is human to do all these activities, whether you're a small baby or you're 90 or 100-year-old person. It is all natural. Let everybody do this freely because these things indirectly affect the functionality of the psychological emotion of a child. And this mistake is again committed in the educational institutes also. I'll give you one example. Just an example. Teacher, may I go to the toilet? Teacher will say, no, sit down. Finito. It's over. Game over. The emotion is attacked. The child's emotion is attacked. Even if the child is fooling the teacher, it's okay. But don't kill the child's emotion. So this is one of the way, that's the basic, absolute basic I'm speaking about. Second, coming down to answering you again, uh, be with your child. You express your emotions, with your child. Tell your child you're feeling happy. Tell your child you're feeling sad. Tell your child you're feeling like crying, cry. But make sure, don't give a reason blaming anybody for your emotion. Do emote in front of your child, laugh, cry, do everything. But when it comes to the situation, make sure you do not blame any other person for the emotion. This is the way you'll help your child to slowly, very slowly and gradually come up with emotion. And there are many, many, many other ways where, uh, there are ways where you make your child write something and you can uh, give bark remedies, you can help them with alternative therapies, and there are thousands of ways to tackle this.
Thank you, Derek. I mean,
Thank
that
you.
was very deep, very basic, but it's so, so true. Absolutely nail on the head again. So I think whoever's watching this right now is affected by what you're saying and positively affected. So I'll move on to the next question because we have a question again. Just a moment. Let me just scroll very quickly. You can take a breather.
Thanks. I need a sip.
I have a question from Sapna Joshi Sharma, and she says she has twins. Wow, that's great. And they are just 5 years of age. It's difficult as a mother
Wow.
as very different individuals. Wow, this is a lovely, lovely question. I would really want to hear what you have to say. So Sapna
Could you
has
come back with the
twins.
question?
Yes,
Twins, yeah, I heard that.
Sapna has twins. She hasn't mentioned if they are girls or they are boys or if they are identical, or they are
Okay,
fraternal. I don't know, but what she also says it's challenging for her because she lives in Pune and her
okay,
her father the father of the children, he comes once a month, so they are kind of managing like that, and she has to play the dual role of a father and mother. So she has twins.
okay,
She is trying to be a parent, managing both the roles of father and mother because the father is away and working and coming once a month. So she wants to understand how she manages that, and how does she manage this particular situation that she has.
yeah. Thank you for the question, and let me tell you one thing: whether they are twins or quadruplets, everyone, everyone is different. Okay, so relax on that part. Next comes, I would put you, put up a straight, sentence, a statement. Stop playing the double role. Stop playing a father. You're a mother. Be a mother. Reason: any child, whether it's a boy or a girl, up to age 9 requires a mother. The support of the father comes in post age 9 or age 9 onwards. That is the time they build up their strength, their willpower, their facing the world, the challenges, that is when a father comes in. Until then, since they are five, I would say relax and play your mother's role 100%. If daddy is coming once a month, very good. In the meantime, make sure you show them daddy's photo, talk on video calling, let them speak over the phone. That's good. Let daddy handle himself over the phone with the children. You play your role, and they will very beautifully. And if you're going to play a double role, take my word, the moment daddy steps in, there's going to be a havoc in their life. So enjoy your motherhood.
Yes, Sapna, enjoy this time. It's a very special aspect to have twins. So, all the best for that. And I'll go on to the next question that we have scrolling here. Okay, I have a question from Payal, and she is does good or bad parenting influence a child's personality? Yes, yes, it does. But Derek, we'll leave you to answer the question in your own individual style.
Well, let's understand one thing. There is no such thing as good or bad parenting. Understand that first. There is no right and wrong, there's no good or bad. Parenting is parenting. No parent on this planet will do anything otherwise knowingly to their child. So all you need to do is train yourself, get yourself trained to be a better parent, know the skills, know the science of it, and go full on. That's all I would say. Yes, it would definitely affect the child's personality. I mean, whatever you do is affecting the child's personality. Every action does.
Thank you very much. And I have also a few questions which have come to me separately. I'm just going to, take them on as well. And I have a question which says that today, uh, you know, uh, it's about age about computers, mobiles, teenagers are completely latched onto these devices. Parents are busy with their work constantly. We have the COVID situation, we have work from home, we've got e-classes happening. So all this is happening right now. And what tips can you give us to tackle this situation? How do parents tackle this current situation which has been going on for weeks and looks like there's no end in sight? So how do we tackle this?
See, right now, first of all, you need to do is you are with your family. You need to be with your family mentally, physically, and spiritually. That's very important. All of you must be doing whatever you must be doing. I would just tell you one thing. Set a time aside, whenever, morning, evening, maybe once a day, maybe twice a day, a time to pray together. Whatever faith you belong to, it's always good to pray. This is the right time, where children learn and copy the value of prayers, the value of being spiritual. Next, have your meals together instead of having at various different times. So all these things, small, small things matter the most, and this is the right time to learn them. Whatever is happening outside, I'm completely aware of it. The first thing and the foremost thing you must focus is that make sure you have enough in your kitty to give food to your family and to yourself. Rest, everything comes later on. Rest, everything comes later on. Rest is like luxury. At this point of time, it's all luxury. So if you're getting food, thank God for it. If you have a family, thank God for it. If you're having a shelter, you're safe with your family, thank God for it. As much as possible, stay calm. Help your children to stay calm. Very important. The more calm you stay, the better it is for you and for your family. Read out a story, encourage them to write a story of their own. This is all creativity. I know they must be doing so many things, challenges, and this and that. Do something different. That is, start writing. If nothing, I'm telling you, just start writing. And if you don't have pen and paper, I'm sure because stationery shops are closed, it could be a huge possibility. I would say sit down and tell your child to tell you a story. Turn by turn, every family member each day says a story. This way, you all will be able to emote your emotions, what you're going through in this lockdown period. I encourage my 4-year-old to narrate a story to me, and I do this every third day with her so that she is not stuck up emotionally in this lockdown period. It helps, my dear friends. It really helps because she is fed up of drawing and scribbling. So we've got to do whatever possible we can to save our children from this.
Thank you, Derek. I think that has been the last question of today. There are still a lot of more questions, but we have almost run out of time. And this conversation,
Yeah.
I'm sure, will not stop. It is something that will continue. So we welcome the comments and we will be addressing and giving answers to the comments that we have. As a last comments, what I would like to share is that Derek is, involved a lot in the work, in the welfare of children, and he has his own setup as well. And I just want to share my screen. Okay, so this is his company called Alu Connect, and they are connecting happiness for children. And he is if you want to connect with him, you can connect at his website aluconnect.net. And he is also available via Step Up and the Alu Connect FB page, through which we are going also live with this session. Derek has been involved in a lot of topics and is multi skilled, like I said, from martial arts to graphology to counseling to research science in various areas. So we will be coming up with few modules and with few uh, sessions, maybe with smaller sessions or with focus sessions. If you all have any requests for us on special focus sessions, do ping us, and we would be happy to take up those sessions. So thank you so much. Thank you, Derek, for giving us your evening. We've taken 1.5 hour of your time, and we really appreciate this. Thank you so much.